A deep time origin. The jaw that changed everything. Long before humans stood upright or even walked the earth, over 300 million years ago, the oceans were alive with strange and silent creatures. Among them swam a humble, unassuming fish, barely a foot long with no teeth, just gills, and a pair of large eyes that scanned the ancient seas for drifting plankton. It was called Acanthodes, a member of a long-extinct group of primitive fish. And according to the latest research, it may just be the common ancestor of all jawed vertebrates, humans included. That's right, from this tiny prehistoric swimmer, all creatures with jaws, fish, birds, reptiles, mammals, and eventually humans may have evolved from. This ancient lineage, branching from a time before sharks and bony fishes had fully diverged, laid the foundation for everything that came after. Fossils of Acanthodes have been found in Europe, North America, and Australia, offering a glimpse into the early story of us. Compared to its spiny-finned relatives, Acanthodes was relatively large, about a foot, or 0.3 meters in length. Though it lacked teeth, it had gills and fed gently on plankton drifting through prehistoric currents. It was simple, it was small, but within its body lay the blueprint for something that would change the course of evolution: the jaw. The appearance of jaws was a revolution in vertebrate history. In the relentless struggle to survive, few innovations were more important than the ability to bite, chew, grasp, and fight. And yet the story of how jaws came to be isn't just one of bones, it's also written in nerves. Anatomy and paleontology have shown that jaws evolved from gill arches, the supportive structure that once held the gills open in ancient fish. But here's where it gets fascinating. Not all gill arches are created equal. Though they might look similar, each pair is controlled by a different cranial nerve. For example, in the ancient armored fish known as Cephalospis, there were 10 pairs of gill arches. The first two were controlled by the trigeminal nerve, the third by the facial nerve, the fourth by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and the rest by the vagus nerve. In most modern fish, 5 gill arches remain, with the first controlled by the glossopharyngeal nerve and others by the vagus. Now here's the kicker. The jaws of all jawed vertebrates are innervated by the trigeminal nerve, the very same one that once powered an ancient gill arch. That's no coincidence. It's evolution in action. In fact, this nerve connection is so consistent that when people today suffer from trigeminal neuralgia, a nerve disorder, they may feel severe pain in their jaws and teeth, even when there's no dental problem at all. That's because our jaws still run on the ancient wiring of that same nerve. So what does all this mean? It means that your ability to chew, to speak, to smile or bite into an apple, it all began in the silent ocean, in the body of a jawless fish that evolved a new way to survive. That humble shift, a gill arch turning into a jaw, shaped by the trigeminal nerve, linked all jawed vertebrates into a single, powerful evolutionary story. It's a tale that stretches from plankton to people, from acanthodes to astronauts, from a nervous impulse in a fish's skull to a human thought echoing across time. The place of origin, the mystery of humanity's birthplace. Where did humanity come from? That question has fascinated scientists for centuries. Paleoanthropologists have tirelessly searched for the birthplace of humankind, hoping to pinpoint the cradle from which our species emerged. Most scientists agree that what defines a true human is the ability to craft tools. Before this milestone, our ancestors are referred to as pre-humans. Upright posture is considered the physical hallmark that separated early humans from our common ape ancestors. The region where the shift occurred is believed to be the earliest cradle of humanity. Our time as early humans continued to evolve. They eventually became modern Homo sapiens, diverging into the various human races we know today. The place where this final step in evolution took place is called the last cradle of humanity. To explore our origins, scientists rely on a fundamental assumption. Humans are one biological species and must have a single common ancestor. While different species may mate, they cannot produce viable offspring unless they belong to the same species. Therefore, the theory of multiple ancestral origins has long been discredited as scientifically unsound. So where did this evolutionary break from apes occur? Was it in Africa, from which early humans spread to Asia, or did it begin in Asia itself? For over 100 years, scientists have debated whether our origins lie in Africa or Asia. Africa, the first cradle. The idea that humanity began in Africa was first proposed by Charles Darwin. In his 1871 book, The Descent of Man, Darwin boldly speculated that Africa might have been the birthplace of humanity. Haeckel, another evolutionist, argued in 1863 that humans originated in South Asia, and even mapped out migration routes from there to the rest of the world. Other theories include Central Asia, Northern Asia, and Europe. As fossil discoveries mounted in different regions, theories shifted accordingly. Europe, once a leading theory. For a time, Europe, specifically Western Europe, was widely considered the birthplace of humans. Between 1823 and 1925, fossils from 116 individuals were unearthed in the region, including the Heidelberg man, a representative of early Homo species. 236 additional human skeletons were discovered from the Neolithic period. At the time, aside from Java man in Indonesia, no ancient human remains had been found in Asia or Africa. In fact, the oldest known ape fossils had been discovered in Europe, including the 1856 fossil of Dryopithecus in France. One famous case that strengthened the European origin theory was the Piltdown man, which many hailed as the dawn human. But it was eventually revealed to be a hoax, a combination of a modern human skull and an orangutan jaw. As most fossils were uncovered in Asia and Africa, the European origin theory gradually lost credibility. Beijing man and the rise of the Asian theory. The discovery of Peking man reinvigorated the theory of Asian origins. In 1887, Dutch anatomist Eugene Dubois went to Java, Indonesia, in search of early human remains. There in 1890, he discovered a jaw fragment and later a skull cap and thigh bone. Dubois claimed these remains belonged to the elusive missing link between apes and humans, what became known as Java man. This gave new life to the South Asia theory. However, Dubois' findings faced strong opposition, especially from religious groups who insisted that humans descended from Adam, not apes. In 1911, paleontologist William Diller Matthew argued that Central Asia was humanity's cradle. His logic? Environmental challenges such as those caused by the rise of the Himalayas, could have stimulated evolutionary change. He also reasoned that more primitive species tend to migrate away from their origin centers, while more advanced ones stay and evolve. This fit the then-known fossil record. Early humans like Heidelberg man and Java man had been found far from supposed centers of evolution. The East African breakthrough. Then came East Africa, and everything changed. Starting in 1931, British archaeologist Louis Leakey began excavating in the Olduvai Gorge, a branch of the Great Rift Valley. There he discovered primitive stone tools made by early humans, dating to the early Pleistocene epoch. But who made them? After 20 years of searching, in 1959, Leakey and his wife Mary discovered the skull of an ancient hominin. It was more robust than any South African Australopithecus and was named Australopithecus boisei, or Zinj, nicknamed the East African man. Dated to about 1.7 million years ago, this discovery sparked new confidence in Africa as the birthplace of humanity. Soon after, another remarkable hominin appeared, Homo habilis, or handyman, regarded as a direct descendant of modern humans. The discovery of this species turned Australopithecus from closest ape to humans into the first true precursors of humanity. With this, the African origin theory gained a solid scientific foundation. New fossils, new questions. In the 1970s, further discoveries expanded the puzzle. Fossils from Pakistan's Potwar Plateau, Hungary, Turkey, Greece, Kenya, and China suggested an even more complex early human landscape. These fossils were classified into two main types: Sivapithecus, meaning larger, and Ramapithecus, meaning smaller. Initially thought to be distinct species, later research showed they were likely just male and female of the same species, dismissing Ramapithecus as our ancestor. The origin debate became murky again, but new hope came not from rocks, but from molecules. Molecular clues, a genetic breakthrough. Modern genetics revolutionized the search for our origins. Molecular biology, particularly molecular anthropology, revealed how closely related humans are to other primates. By examining mutations in genetic material, scientists were able to estimate when humans and apes diverged. Originally, this split was thought to have occurred 20 to 25 million years ago, but DNA analysis showed it was more like 4 to 5 million years ago. This dramatic revision led scientists to reimagine the timeline and geography of human evolution. And thanks to the wealth of the Australopithecus and early Homo fossils in Africa, especially East Africa, a clearer image of our early ancestors began to emerge. East Africa, with its rich fossil beds and ancient artifacts, now stands as the most likely cradle of humankind, where the first chapters of our shared human story were written. There are many stories and theories about where we humans come from, each offering a different lens on our beginnings. Some speak in the language of science, others in the voice of the divine, and still others whisper through ancient myth. Among the major ideas are evolution, the belief that life slowly transformed over millions of years; creationism, the faith that a divine power shaped us with intention; and the out-of-Africa theory, which traces modern humanity back to a single homeland on the African continent. Then scattered across the world are the rich and colorful myths of origin, from gods shaping humans from clay, to people sprouting from trees, animals, or even the breath of deities. let's take a journey through these different ways of understanding how we came to be. The theories, the beliefs, and the stories passed down through generations. The theory of evolution. Long ago, a revolutionary idea began to take shape. One that would change ancient beliefs and ignite debates for centuries. This idea was evolution, first proposed by Charles Darwin and refined over time. According to this theory, humanity is not a product of divine intervention, but the result of a long, gradual journey from primates through countless generations of transformation. Darwin's ideas were bold. Humans evolved step by step from ape-like ancestors, shaped by the forces of nature. Nearly 2 centuries of scientific inquiry across biology, geology, anthropology, and archaeology have only strengthened this theory. Yet despite widespread support from the scientific community, evolution still faces resistance from certain religious circles, particularly within Christianity. As the theory evolved, it branched into 2 main interpretations regarding modern human origins. 1. The single origin theory, also called the recent African origin theory, argues that all modern humans can trace their lineage to a common ancestor in Africa. The other, the multi-regional theory, proposed that modern humans evolved simultaneously in different regions of the world through continuous gene flow. Creationism. In contrast to evolution, creationism holds a deeply spiritual view. It claims that the universe, life, and humankind were all created by a god or some higher supernatural force. This idea, while lacking scientific validation, is a cornerstone of many religious traditions. One of the most widely known versions comes from Christianity, whose Bible tells of a God who created humans in his own image, not in appearance, but in character. In this worldview, humanity is not a branch on a tree of life, but the deliberate masterpiece crafted by divine hands. The ancient astronaut theory. There is also a less conventional idea, the ancient astronaut hypothesis. This unverified theory claims that humans were not shaped by nature or gods, but by intelligent beings from other worlds. According to this belief, extraterrestrial visitors, arriving in prehistoric times, engineered humanity, perhaps as a cosmic experiment or servants of some advanced civilization. Though intriguing, this idea remains outside the realm of scientific consensus, resting instead in the shadowy corners of speculation and pseudoscience. African origin theory. The African origin theory, also known as the out of Africa theory, is the leading scientific explanation for where modern humans came from and how we spread across the world. The oldest fossils of anatomically modern humans have been found in Africa. DNA studies show the highest genetic diversity in African populations, suggesting they've been around the longest, and tools, art, and early cultural practices first appeared in Africa before spreading elsewhere. Modern humans first evolved in Africa about 300,000 years ago. From there, small groups of humans migrated out of Africa, starting around 60 to 70,000 years ago, and gradually spread to other parts of the world, Asia, Europe, Australia, and eventually the Americas. Mythological origins. Chinese myths. In the mists of China's mythological past, many stories attempted to explain where humans came from. One early tale from Huainanzi, a philosophical text, speaks of 2 gods, Yin and Yang, whose blended energies gave rise to the world. From murky vapors came insects, birds, and beasts. From pure energies, humans were formed. Yet this poetic view was never widely accepted. Later, another tale claimed that as the primordial giant Pangu lay dying, parasites from his body transformed into humans. In Yishi's Chronicles of the Five Cycles, it's written, "The insects of his body, stirred by the wind, became the people." This story too faded into obscurity. A more intricate myth tells that the Yellow Emperor created mankind, with other deities bestowing ears, eyes, limbs, and speech. Huainan Zi recounts, "The Yellow Emperor gave birth to yin and yang. Shangbian gave ears and eyes. Shangling gave arms and hands." Curiously similar to Germanic mythology, this tale raises many questions, especially since the nature of the gods Shangbian and Shanglin remains a mystery. Western myths. The West is no stranger to tales of human origin. Rich and varied, many of these myths echo each other. Some even bear a surprising resemblance to evolutionary ideas. 1. Called into existence. In the myths of ancient Egypt, humans were called out by gods. Before the world took shape, the omnipotent God already existed. From his mouth came the winds, Supi, the rains, Tafnut, and the mighty Nile, Hapi. Finally, he uttered man and woman, and the land was instantly filled with people. Having completed creation, the God transformed himself into human form and became the first pharaoh, bringing peace and prosperity to the world. 2. Always been there. Some cultures believed that humans had always existed. Among the Native Americans and New Zealand's Maori people, myths tell of humans emerging from the earth or darkness once the world was formed. In the Maori version, the sky, Rangi, and earth, Papa, were once locked in an eternal embrace. Their children, longing for light, pushed them apart, bringing illumination to the world and revealing humankind, long hidden in the dark. 3. Born from trees. In the Germanic traditions, humans came from trees. One day, the god Odin was walking by the seashore and saw 2 trees growing on the sand, one strong, one graceful. He ordered them cut down and be shaped into man and woman. Odin granted them life, while other gods gave them reason, speech, blood, and color. Thus were the ancestors of the Germanic people created. 4. Born of beasts. The idea that humans came from animals appears in many traditions. In Australian Aboriginal stories, humans evolved from lizards. In the Americas, different peoples claimed descendants from wild dogs, beavers, or monkeys. The Greeks, too, told of swan-born clans and men descended from bulls. These myths, especially the ones suggesting humans came from monkeys, eerily align with Darwin's evolutionary theory. The coincidence is striking and perhaps not so coincidental after all. In the end, whether born of stardust, clay, or cosmic breath, the story of humanity's beginning continues to evolve. Across science and myth, ancient scroll and modern lab, we chase the same question. Where do we come from? And maybe, just maybe, the answers lie not in choosing one truth, but in hearing them all.